Why would anyone in their right mind risk conceiving a child who could easily end up as an enemy of God, being tormented for eternity?
Yeah. Take your time with that one, Pastor. Christians don't like this question. They avoid it like a vegan at a barbecue contest. Because if they actually thought about it, they'd have to face the idea that they might be bringing a baby into the world just so that baby can later burn and scream forever. That, and I say this with love, spectacularly arrogant and foolish.
So bottom line is going to be, because we trust God. We believe in God. We take our cues from God, not our own mere logic.
Not our own mere logic. Right. Logic is the problem here. Now imagine, just for a second, that you are that child. You didn't ask to be born. You grew up, had different experiences, thought for yourself, and now you're in hell. Forever. While your parents are presumably upstairs, enjoying the eternal buffet, going, "We did our best." The rage you would feel, every single second of eternity, cursing the people who looked at each other one night and thought, "You know what? Let's roll the dice on infinite torture." You had one job, Mom and Dad. Don't spawn me into a universe where eternal suffering was on the menu. I mean, have you looked at the Pew Research Center? About 35% of adults in the U.S. have changed their religion since childhood. But sure, not our own mere logic. Let's have 3 kids.
Why should a believer bring a child into this world? Because of the ultimate existential possibility that that child could end up in hell, right? The answer to the question is simply that the Lord says, be fruitful and what? Multiply and fill the earth for His glory.
Okay. So the answer is obedience. Because God said so. Sorry, Timmy, I know you're screaming in the lake of fire right now, but the Lord said, multiply. I was just following orders. All right then, let's clean that up and ask the real question. Why would a good God command people to create children knowing there is a very real possibility those same children could end up in eternal torment? Even Jesus himself says about Judas, it would be better for him if he had not been born. If not being born can be better than existing, why are we under divine orders to mass-produce existence?
You have no guarantee that the child you bring into the world is going to become a believer. But I do believe that any child that comes into the world, in the end, one way or another, will bring glory to God. It may be the glory of God fulfilled in the manifestation of even His wrath. It may be the glory of God fulfilled in the manifestation of His grace.
This is genuinely one of the most disturbing things I've ever heard a human being say out loud. It's basically, my son is either happy forever or on fire forever. Either way, I look great. So don't worry about whether your child spends eternity in paradise or in unimaginable agony, because either outcome is a win for God. If glory includes watching conscious beings suffer forever, at what point do we stop calling that glory and start calling it what it looks like? Sadism. How about making hell optional? Or just not make hell at all? Or just don't have the kid? Adopt one who's already here. Problem solved. But no. Instead, you roll the dice on someone else's eternal skin. So let's again rephrase the question. Are you okay with your child being eternally punished, as long as it contributes to God's glory? Another line of defense goes like this. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. A guarantee sounds very reassuring. There's just one small problem. Reality. I mean, just look at this. This is data from the Pew Research Center. It's tracking something called religious switching. Basically, who people grow up as, versus what they end up believing later. On the left, you've got how many people join each group. Next to it, how many leave. And on the right, the net result. So, naturally, if Christian parenting is this guaranteed success system, let's check the scoreboard. Oh no. Look at that massive red bar. That's millions of people walking away. Either that verse has exceptions, millions of them, or it only works if parents execute the training perfectly. No pressure, but the Bible can never be wrong. If the system fails, it must be the parents' fault. And we're right back where we started, parents risking their children burning forever for the glory of His majesty.
You can't control destiny anyway. You are not in charge of ultimate ends of any creatures, any humans. So you're not going to alter the ultimate plan of God, the ultimate purpose of God.
Well, that's just an excuse to outsource responsibility. If destiny is already written, then what exactly was Proverbs 22 about? And if God's plan is sovereign and unstoppable, if nothing you do can alter it, then God planned for certain children to end up in hell. He didn't just allow it, He designed it. It was always going to happen. It was always part of the blueprint that little Timmy burns forever for His glory. So, do you have free will to choose not to have children? Yes or no? If yes, then you can stop this. You can decide right now not to create a soul that might burn forever, which means you are responsible if you do it anyway. If no, then you never had a choice. God decided you would have kids. God decided those kids would burn. And you're just a puppet clapping about free will while the strings dangle.
When we think about our children, we will pray and work and agonize and weep, and if we can, die, so that Christ would be formed in them. But we will not let the possible misery of some prevent us from pursuing and hoping for the eternal joy of all.
Let me read that back so you hear how it sounds to someone outside the bubble. We will not let the possible misery of some prevent us from pursuing and hoping for the eternal joy of all. The possible misery of some, like a slightly disappointing vacation. That's what we're doing now. We're softening the language so the math feels acceptable. Because if you said it plainly, we will not let the possibility of our children burning forever stop us from having children. People might flinch. And then, pursuing and hoping for the eternal joy of all. All. You're hoping for the joy of all. You just got done telling us about election, about how God already chose who gets saved, about how His plan is sovereign and unstoppable and you can't alter it. But underneath all the theology, you shouldn't have to weep and agonize over whether your child will be tortured forever. That shouldn't be a thing parents lie awake worrying about. The fact that it is, the fact that this man is describing it so earnestly, so painfully, is the most honest argument against the system he's defending.
I don't despise this question. I don't minimize this question. The two answers are, under trusting God, the two answers are, number one, if someone perishes, it will be just that they perish, not unjust. They will deserve to perish, and in perishing, God's justice will be glorified. His wrath will be displayed, according to Romans 9:20 and 21.
So now the answer is, if your child ends up in hell, don't worry, they deserved it. Problem solved. That's convenient. And again, just to remind you, you chose to have this child, by your own free will, and now that the child is burning, you're pointing at them like they're the one who messed up. Then he hit you with Romans 9:20. But who are you, a human being, to talk back to God? In other words, don't ask questions. After all, who are you to question the bridge collapsing? The engineer is the engineer.
And the lostness of the person will, in fact, serve God's ultimate good purposes for the glorification of His name and the good of His elect.
Yeah, don't worry, Timmy. Your eternal agony is really helping the elect appreciate heaven more. And when he talks about the lostness of the person, we're not even talking about a human being anymore, but a narrative device, a plot mechanism, a supporting character whose entire purpose, whose entire infinite, conscious, screaming existence in hell is to make the saved people's heaven feel more meaningful. What a deal. For everyone except the kid. And you created that kid for His glory. Pastor, you are a smart man. I can tell. But you're not thinking about the theology. You're thinking for it. And right now, it sounds like you handed your brain over to it. Stop following orders and start following the evidence for your kids.
Second, the prospect of someone being saved and enjoying God forever and ever is so great. Why wouldn't you want to conceive as many babies as you could? The horrors of hell are not as horrible as the glories of heaven.
Well, that is one of the most casually disturbing sentences I've ever heard. You put infinite joy on one side, infinite torture on the other, and your conclusion is, yeah, the torture side isn't that bad in comparison. Those aren't numbers you can average out. That's not math. It's simply moral denial. Because you can't offset someone else's infinite agony with someone else's infinite joy. These are not the same person. Sure, let's create 10 babies. One will be tortured forever, but 9 will live in perfect happiness. Roll the dice. Gamble with someone else's eternity. What a nice moral framework you have there, Pastor.
So this question should have its counterpart. If it's possible that a human being could be brought into existence who would know the living God and spend an eternity in ever-increasing joy, why wouldn't you want to have as many babies as possible?
Right. There's a chance you could win $1 billion. Also a chance you get set on fire forever. But let's stay positive. Why wouldn't you want to have as many babies as possible? Oh, I don't know. Maybe because one of them might end up screaming forever? So when he said, this question should have its counterpart, he meant, let me flip this around so I don't have to admit how messed up the first version was.
You're a Christian and you want to have a family, and you're risking your child not becoming a believer. So why would you have kids to begin with?
Because God tells us to have kids, and secondly, justice is still a good thing.
We had you, Timmy, because we were told to. And if things go horribly wrong, don't worry. Justice is still a good thing. For you, in hell, while you scream and burn forever. Yes, Frank. Justice in the abstract is good. But that wasn't the question. The question is, why are you so comfortable creating someone who might experience your version of justice forever?
Even if they are not saved ultimately, they've made their choice. We don't want them to get justice, but justice is still a good thing.
So you would have kids to begin with because it's a command?
Of course it's a command. We wouldn't be here if we didn't obey the command, right?
Okay.
And God gives us free will because free will is the only way we can love. If we don't have free will, then we're robots, and then we're not this immoral world anymore. So God gives us free will, which opens up the possibility we can do evil, but it also allows the possibility for love. Right. And love is worth risking rejection.
Here, rejection doesn't mean she didn't text back. It means your child might burn forever by the most powerful being in existence. Can you imagine a more evil act than infinite torture? I can't. Which means, by that logic, I also can't imagine a more evil being than God. Yet we're told he's all-loving.
And love is worth risking rejection.
Love is worth risking rejection. That's a beautiful sentence, Frank. Really. Put it on a Valentine's card, because neither you nor God are the ones taking that risk.
Some of you may die, but it's a sacrifice I am willing to make.
You rolled the dice on behalf of your child, who didn't ask to be born. The God said so argument. If God is perfectly good, and whatever he commands is good, and he commands you to have children, then having children is good. But the same God who issued that command also designed hell. Also said it would have been better for Judas to never have been born. So was Judas being born a good thing, as this argument suggests? Or was it a bad thing, as Jesus himself said? You already have free will, Frank. Right now, before any children exist. And you already know the rules of this system. And you still choose to bring someone into it, even though you could completely eliminate the risk by simply not creating them in the first place. That's the dilemma. I'm not saying God is immoral. I'm saying your theology contradicts itself. and you're too busy defending it to notice. But sure, love is worth risking rejection. Tell that to Timmy.